Good morning, and good morning. Welcome, Wealth Warriors. We are on the air this morning. Glad to be here. Hope everybody had an amazing weekend. We are definitely on the move this morning. Got a great topic and excited about that. We're going to have a straight show today. We are going to be talking about employment, independent contractors, and the infamous interns, because that seems to be the conversation of the day. Now, where we left off, we had talked about employment law, and we're going to actually follow up with one more segment about employment law, and then we're going to continue on. Because right now, what we're thinking through is that virtually everyone has made a decision, and that decision is that they are going to have a business. Why? Because we know owning our own businesses is the cornerstone of wealth. It is the cornerstone. It is part of the strategy of wealth. And we said that we're committed to 60 months. We are already 14 months in to a 60-month destination. And the beauty of that destination is means for a lifetime. We are willing to sacrifice, to fight for the next 48 months to live our lives financially free. And it's not a long period of time. It's relatively short. Because to think, some people work 40 years. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's it. And we're done. And we're going to utilize 3 resources to get us there. In fact, at the end of the show, I'm going to talk to you about our new Facebook page and also our upcoming website. And it is about the only three that are going to get us to our destination. Now, with that being said, I would like, of course, to introduce our co-host for the show, none other than Ms. Pamela Scott. Go right ahead. Oh my goodness, I can't believe I said that. Forgive me, Pamela. Pamela Stone.
That's
Go
okay.
right ahead. Please introduce yourself for this morning's broadcast.
Good morning, Wealth Warriors. I'm glad we're back on the air, and guess what? We're back and ready to go and get in charge and get everybody in charge and get moving to our ultimate goal. Our ultimate goal is to be our own bosses. I can tell you, speaking as experience, I'm sitting right now being someone else's boss. So I am on the journey with you. So you can't say you're not doing it by yourself. I'm here with you. And so I'm excited to be part of this. And I want you all to join us. Now, those listeners that are just now popping in to listen to us, you can join the Wealth Warriors by going to our Facebook page at Wealth Warriors Facebook, and you will get a personal message from Brent or I, and we will join you. We love to welcome. We're all about growing our community. So let's get aboard here and let's go. Back to you, Miss Brent.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. So today's topic is employees, independent contractors, and the infamous intern. And I'm going to start off by sharing with you why I said the infamous intern, and then we're going to come back and have more discussion. The reason I say infamous intern is, first and foremost, we're in the summertime. And so people immediately start thinking, I'd like to have an intern working with me. And that is great, but there are specific rules of engagement relative to interns. So we're going to start off with the employee. Most of us, when we start that business, we're the chief cook and bottle washer. We're doing everything. And life is grand. In fact, life is great because we are able to do everything. We're that solopreneur. Now, let me make sure I get clear with the audience. There are those of us that are already in business. We have our business established. We are the solopreneur. So the question becomes, Are we ready to raise up the bar? Are we planning for growth? Have we put into our business plan, our marketing and sales performance plan, our structure? Have we determined that we are actually going to grow? And if in fact we have determined that, what is that growth plan? We figured out we've got a growth plan. We know that we want to be at X amount of dollars by a certain period of time. Fantastic. Now the case becomes to grow to it. Are you going to work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week? Or are you going to hire employees? Now, the beauty of having Pamela here this morning is, in fact, she is an HR specialist. And so she is ultimately familiar with what we're talking about. Pamela, speak to us about being an employer. What are the numbers? What are the federal numbers? How many employees before you are required to do things such as have health insurance, have benefits? Talk to us a little bit about that.
Absolutely. Now, as Brent has said, is they start recognizing that you must offer insurance to your employees at the number of 25. That is your number. 25. So 25 employees or more, you are subject to offering insurance to your employees. So, for example, and also too, you also have to offer them work. You have to start putting in payment for workman's comp. And let me tell you this, everybody, there is so many companies that are out here that are not paying into the workman's comp claim. And that is huge, and that's going to put you into a legal bind. I actually worked with a company that was existence for maybe 4 or 5, maybe 3 years, hadn't paid into paid into the workman's comp. I had to, and there is severe consequences. The EEOC will come in, and you don't want that. And then what they'll do is they won't shut you down, but they will provide you with a high fee. And then they will also create an implementation plan. And you and I know that's your business. You don't want someone to tell you what you're going to do and how you're going to do it. And they do have that right, because now you become with as they are as a corporation. So you be very careful. Now, when it comes to the insurance piece of it, there's so many different insurances that you can offer to your staff. There's different types, there are different levels. Everyone always thinks you have to pay millions of dollars. You don't. There's a million options out here for that. Just be cautious be aware, be cautious of there, and also be mindful of the insurance plan that you're offering, because not only you're the employee, but you also have to think about you, the employer. And so you have to balance those two out. So you hire people like me to help you balance that out, to determine what insurance plans are best suited for you and your company. But yes, starting at 25, you're now recognized to holding insurance, as well as paying into the unemployment, as well as let me also back up, everyone. Unemployment, you do have to pay into that, and you have to file claims. That is another huge one that we can talk about at another time. I have a company right now that a gentleman is not, and do you hear me, not paying into unemployment, and he has a couple staff members that there's some illegal things going on that we're getting ready to face together. So, but that's a different topic at a different time and different show. I could go on and on and on, but let's first work on knowing what the level of employees is 25, and knowing that you must start offering insurance to your employees.
Okay, so that, I'm assuming what we're talking about when you say insurance, that's health insurance, yes?
Yes.
Okay, so what are the minimum benefits that a company that has 25 employees or better, what are the minimum benefits? Health insurance is one. Are there any other benefits that are required that I have to offer?
You don't have to, that's it. Actually, you only have to offer medical. Now, I do encourage all the employees to offer dental too, because it goes hand in hand. Because if you got a healthy heart, you can have a healthy eyes, is how I explain it to the employees. And as well as the eye insurance is so low, you don't feel it. It's like another maybe 10 to $20 more on top. So it's not as bad. And that's it. The other insurances or the other benefits that they offer are perks that you offer to your company, which I won't go into because I could go on days for that too.
Okay. So now, most of us are solopreneurs. We only have, we have less than 25 employees. The majority, I would imagine, are going to have 10 or less. What are the requirements when it comes to 10 or less? Or we could say, just let's put it this way, less than 25. As a new employer, getting up and running, I'm now going to hire those employees because I'm not able to grow without them. What are my requirements?
Again, I would go ahead, since you have that staff, go ahead and offer them the medical insurance. It's not a required, but it is a benefit, and you would draw. Now, here's the perk to it: you would draw those powerful heavy hitters to your company to leverage you. So you don't, but honestly, you don't have to offer the insurance to them. If you do, you can offer. Now, I do have a company that did offer the insurance, but it came with a high out-of-pocket cost, which that pass along to the employees, not the employer. The employer does pay his share, but then the other cost does go on to employees. So you also have to be very mindful of that. I've seen where employees pay $200 a paycheck out of their pocket for health insurance, and that's a lot. And let's be honest, now that we have the Obamacare and there's other options, the employees doesn't have to take that plan, which it doesn't hurt you, but just be mindful of that. So yeah, there's so many options out here for you in different plans, health plans, and different companies for you to offer to the staff. But again, if you want to offer the health insurance, you can do that and just offer a higher out-of-pocket cost to them, which then takes a lot of the expense off of you. Now, let me also say this. Now, a lot of companies, now that I know everyone's now seeing the health and wellness is becoming a huge, huge, huge hit now. Yes. So now a lot of companies are offering, if you offer your employee, if you create a health and wellness program, and I know, wait a minute, I know you're going to say it's a lot of money, but I'm going to give you some tips on how to make it so simple, so cheap and easy. It's crazy. But if you offer your employees a health and wellness program, then do you know you get the discount? You as an employer gets the discount on offering a health and wellness program. So let me give you an example of an easy, inexpensive health and wellness program you can offer to your staff.
Whoa. Before you offer that one, let's do this. We want to invite people onto the broadcast.
Absolutely.
I want to get that nugget. So we're going to do something here. We've got to do a flash mob out.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. We are up on Twitter. And so what I'm going to ask everybody to do is to go to their Twitter handle. And you want to share with all of the folks, everybody that is in your group, you want to say, join us on the Wealth Warrior broadcast now. Join us on the Wealth Warrior broadcast now. So we want to take those infamous fingers, put them on the keyboard, and invite people into our show today, because this is great stuff. If you are an employer, if you're thinking about employees, then you want the tips, the nuggets, because you have a growth plan. So again, join us on the Wealth Warrior broadcast. Type that up right now, because we're about to do a flash mob. And so since you have that written, on the count of 3, starting 1 to 3, at 3, we want to hit the enter button. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, hit the enter button. Flash mob! Absolutely invite people onto this broadcast, because there are nuggets here. We want to grow the community, and so we need your help. Invite your friends, invite family, invite people you know. We are giving out great content here. Now that you've done the Twitter, let's go ahead to Facebook. Go ahead and invite people onto this broadcast. It doesn't cost them anything to be here, and they get a wealth of information. That's why we are wealth warriors. Absolutely. Now, with that being said, now, Pamela, share with us that nugget that you were about to give out.
One of the easy plans, I would like to, first of all, I did the flash mob. So all my community, I sent out there, want you to come and join us. Come on aboard. Well, come on and be part of our growing community, the Wealth Warriors. We have so much information and so much knowledge that will be coming out here, be provided to you. So this is a personal and private invitation from me to you to come join the Wealth Warriors. Now back to what I was saying. You can create a very simple and easy health and wellness program. Now, again, these are for organizations that has employees, and that you're going to offer insurance to your employees. Again, a lot of insurance companies are offering discounts if you implement a health and wellness program. And better yet, some insurance companies will come in and do a health and wellness program for you. So one of the health and wellness items that they do offer is brown bag lunch, a lunch and learn. Bring somebody in, bring a dietitian in, as well as, that's one. Two, you can come up with in the community a walking path. Give your staff a list of where the walking paths are, and they can join that. Now, I can tell you that what I did at one of my companies, was part of a health and wellness venture. And so what we did was we created something fun, which was The Biggest Loser. So of course we had at that company, though, there was over 150 employees, but we made it as a challenge and we made it fun. Do you know how many people are out here now wanting to be healthy? So if you have a team and make a competition, you have on board. And then the last, use your health insurance. The people that are going to pay, that you are offering the health insurance, use them. They're there for you. They can come in and talk to your staff. Offer fun. They offer you tips. They'll come in and do the brown bags for you. So those are the things that as a corporation, someone that has 10 or more employees, even if you have 10 employees, you can still do that. You can still make it inviting, enjoying to your staff, because guess what? You make it inviting, enjoying to your staff will come back and they will reward you. And that's all about this. This is building you so they can help build you.
That is huge. Wow. About having, that makes an incredible amount of sense. And now what I heard you say is this is an attachment. So it's not an and or, it is a combination. If you have 25 employees, you must offer health insurance. If you do not have the 25 employees, then you have the ability to offer health insurance. Now, if from a cost perspective, if you have those 25 employees, here's my question for you. No, less than 25 employees. Right now, you're not positioned to have to offer health insurance. Would it make sense to, at a minimum, offer a health and wellness program?
I actually, excuse me, I did create one for a company that was small.
Okay.
And the purpose and the reason why is you care about your employees will show that. It's all about us supporting each other. So I came up with something fun. Which we did was I created the walking path. I found some walking paths around the area and we started walking. Now, I also did the challenge. And so the team that won, I found some place that would offer free gifts. But you don't have to. But again, this is all about you growing your business. And if you support and show you care for your employees, you will get that back. So you always want your employees to feel that they are that this is a team. It's not it is a team.
Nice. Very, very nice. And that is the quintessential, is about what you can offer, because now you're an employer, and now it's responsibility. Pamela, one other question before we move on and talk about independent contractors, and this is on a federal level. We know that there are certainly state statutes relative to employment. An employer is responsible for federal taxes, they are responsible for workman's comp, they are responsible for paying their state taxes. Do you encourage an employer, let's at less than 25, to actually utilize a service, a payroll service, to take care of those things?
Absolutely. I had a company that did it manually. It's too much. You as an employee, as an employer, you are trying to make the money. You're not trying to give money away. There was funny enough that this particular employer wasn't even paying the taxes that needed to be paid.
Ooh.
And
Ooh.
let me tell you this, I've had to cross the path of the EEOC, and that is not a pleasant visit. I promise you. So my
Okay,
suggestion, I'm sorry,
for those of us who have not had employees before, EEOC, give us the definition.
the EEOC is the federal government that actually runs the guidelines of an organization, making sure that you're paying the taxes, making sure that you are that those employees are legitimate. Please understand what I said. Legitimate employees. Um, I know a couple companies that do have some illegal immigrants, and if the federal government gets a hold of that, there's consequences for that. I understand. I don't understand because I know that people are doing that because of the wages, and I totally understand that. But yes, the EEOC is ran by the federal government, and it is make sure that all organizations are following the federal guidelines that are set on an organization, meaning your staff. They go by staff ratio, meaning ethnicity levels. Make sure your ethnicity groups are on a level. I have been questioned by why is there so many race of this population in this group and not enough of this race in your company. So I had to literally yes, I had to sit down and explain that. I have also have, because let me give you a simple rule. Whatever you do in your company, document. Cover yourself.
What that says to me, Pamela, is that we really do, when we employ people, we as employers take on serious responsibility. And as you're looking at your business, you're going, well, wait a second. I have to be about the business of creating profit. Employees, they can help to grow. However, they also drain, and now I'm looking at profit margins here. And so, woo, when as you're starting to talk, I'm starting to become very nervous about adding employees, because it's not just about it's not just about creating the bottom. I mean, it's the bottom line, but it's just not about them coming in and everybody goes to work and we make money. There's a lot of responsibility here.
It is. It is a very huge responsibility. Once we take it on as being entrepreneurs and we become the CEO, we literally become a CEO. So what I always suggest is you come in, you take on one, have a good payroll system, but more and more importantly, have a good HR person on staff that can help you, because that HR person.
Pamela, I got a staff of 6 people. Really? Oh, so I got 6 people, and you're telling me I should have an HR person? Holy!
Well, here's my thing. For a company well, you need to make sure. Let me make you when you have less than 10, you need to make sure you are still covered because again, you can be the government can come back to you. You make sure your employees are paid. Make sure you have a good payroll system, not your checkbook. Okay, not your checkbook. I know a couple places that are using the checkbook, not a payroll system to help track everything. So that's why I'm saying make sure as an employee, as an employer, you have to make sure you know your laws. If you less than 6, I understand you don't have that money for an HR person because an HR person is going to help you run it. But you need to make sure that you know the laws in your state because I
What
promise
I
you,
think I hear you saying is that you have those less than 10. Let's use the less than 10, more than 10. With that less than 10, what you're talking about then likely is at least having an HR consultant
absolutely.
your on retainer, if you will, so that you can interact with them, let's say on a monthly basis to cover yourself. Is that plausible?
That is, you absolutely have you in HR, or I do know a couple small businesses will have an accounts payable individual on. They make sure that you are paying your taxes and that your employees are being paid correctly. So you do need to have one of those two individuals as a consultant on your side, so you know who you can consult. Absolutely, because this is all about you growing your business and not no one taking your money.
So, with that being said, for our listening audience, for the wealth warriors out there who, again, what are we here for? We're here to create financial freedom for ourselves. So, I understand that some of you are probably going to be saying to yourself, whoa, wait a second. And then there are others that are already there. And so for them, this is a brush up. This is a reminder. So let me deal with the two segments. For those that are now saying, okay, Brent, I'm ready to grow. I'm ready to take this to the next level. We are encouraging you to do your homework. No, we're not encouraging you. We are demanding of you. If understanding that owning is creating the platform, it is the foundation of your organization, the foundation of your wealth, then it is critical that as a business owner, you define what type of business you are. And you also, after defining, we've talked about structure. So here's definition. Defining is where do I want to go? How do I want to grow my business? What is the size? I remember being a mortgage broker back in the day. I owned a mortgage brokering firm. And I said, you know what? I want to have 0.1% of the mortgage business in the state of Massachusetts. And the consultant looked at me and said, okay, you haven't done any homework at all.
Mhm.
He said, let me share this with you. I'm going to give you 100 loans right now. They need to close in 30 days. Do you have the capability of servicing that kind of business? And I had to sit back and recognize the fact that I'd have to give away some of that business in order to keep business so that I could keep the reputation that I wanted to have in the marketplace and draw more business every month. And what I recognized based on the staff that I had, I could outsource some of that. So I looked at it and said, I could probably do about 50 loans. And that would mean my processor would have 25, and I'd have to outsource about 15, and a couple of my originators could actually do a lot of the processing themselves. And so when we look at that, the reason I point this out is because most of us immediately think, I'm going to get an assistant, I'm going to get employees. So that's for the person that is now ramping up. The person that already has it is already in the schematic. Now you're thinking, I need more employees so that I can expand that business. And that's when you're going to run into a Pamela Stone who is going to say, okay, that's great. Good stuff. Now, let's talk about that size and responsibility and best practices. You know, Pamela, before we go on to the independent contractor and also the intern, talk to us about best practices.
So the best practice, first and foremost, I will tell everybody, solopreneur, entrepreneur, those moving into big business, first and foremost, document. Okay. I've came across where there is no documentation. Make sure we all have if you have another besides yourself, you make sure you have contracts. Make sure they're signed and that they're dated. I've seen where people have literally piles of paper this high and they're pieced together. Need to have an organization.
Because you know what happens, Pamela? We say we're going to get around to it. And oh my
Exactly.
goodness, it's Monday, and then you blink your eye and it's Friday, and you're sitting up here saying to yourself, what happened?
Exactly.
I was going to get to that. And then we do not get to the stack. Here's my question for you. Can anybody else do all of that filing? Or is that something that as the owner, I end up with the responsibility? Or maybe it's not the responsibility, however, it's the task.
It is your responsibility to make sure it gets filed. However, you can hire someone to do it for you. I've done that too. I've done where I've gone in and I've made sure that the papers are not the necessary papers are in files and I filed them for them and to create them a filing system. So you can do that.
You know,
But
you just brought up something. Everything is, we are in such an electronic age and environment, and yet you're mentioning paper.
we still have the paper contracts. We still have to have those. I know a lot, and let's be honest, we are becoming the paperless generation as we hear, but there is still some papers that you do need to still have on file. The contracts, we all have contracts, we all sign them. You have to have a contract. That is very essential. May it be just you having your web designer. If you're a solopreneur, an entrepreneur, you're doing business with those different types of people, doing this, providing you with different services. You still have those paper contracts. I had to have a contract right now, paper contract with my coach. So we still do the paper. Now, if you're going to go paperless, you still have to create a filing system because I promise you, the I don't know and I can't find it is not going to work because you still got paper.
I am so sorry. I don't mean to laugh, but
it's true.
True. It is true because at the end of the day, I don't know is not going to cut you. At some point, somebody is going to say, well, wait, let me understand this. You own the business and you don't know? Yeah, I hear exactly what you're saying, Pamela. I hear totally what you're saying.
And so it puts you in a bind. So always document. Always.
Okay, got it. You know, one of the, we've talked about the employees. We've got just to kind of recap, we understand that 25, when you hit 25 employees or more, you are required to offer insurance. You are required to, when we say insurance, that's the health insurance, which is the huge item. We already know that you have to pay your workman's comp, you have to pay your federal tax, you have to pay your state taxes. We understand that. But the big item that's the line of demarcation is going to be the health insurance. Want to ask two more questions, and then I promise everybody we are going to move on to the independent contractor. But two items that come up that I want to have Pamela cover. Pamela, what is considered full-time? Because the full-time employee is the one that gets the health insurance, yes?
That is correct. That is absolutely correct. By state law, a full-time employee is any employee that works over 36 hours. You can have a full-time employee. Any under 36, I'm sorry, 36 or 34. It differs on different states, but anything under the 34 hours, I believe it is, then those are part-time, and that is considered a part-time employees. Okay.
So what I'm going to encourage our audience to understand, we need to check our state laws
Absolutely.
to get clear on what is considered full-time. So you know that where I'm going to next, Pamela. If there is a part-time employee, do I have to pay the health insurance? Even if I've got 25 part-time employees, am I required to pay health insurance?
You're not. You can offer it to them. You can offer it to them, but no, you do not have to, because it's just because they don't work for you. Maybe they work 6 hours. Why would you pay health insurance for? And it's just an example. Why would you pay health insurance on a 6-hour employee?
Well, here's another question relative to that. I have 25 part-time employees, because the reality is I'm trying to avert having
Right.
to pay the health insurance. So I have 25 part-time employees that are working 30 hours each.
Okay.
Would the EEOC come visit me and say, hey, look, come on?
They won't ask you why long as you have just cause, because they are going to ask you, why don't you have any full-time employees? You have 25 employees, and no one is full-time but you. All you have to do is document why at the time you have chosen to have part-time employees. May it be not enough work. May it be that the service that you had was not needed for a full-time employee. All they're going to ask you is why. And all you got to do is document it. That's it. So that's all they want to do, is make sure you're not doing anything illegal. And of course, not taking money for Uncle Sam. You know, his hand is out there, let's be honest. But in all truth, honesty, that's all they're out there. They're just making sure that you're abiding by the rules. And you just document why you have those 25 employees. That's all you have to do. It's very easy.
Okay, I'll tell you what, I know there are folks out there that are saying, nah, Pamela, it is not that easy. Remember this, Pamela is an HR specialist. So from her perspective, hey, it is simple. That's why there are times when you do not have a full-time person, or you do not have, you need an HR person that can help ease and make that so it's slice and dice and it's simple. That's all I'm saying, is make it so it's slicing and dices and it is easy. With that being said, let's move on to the infamous independent contractor. Ooh, that's the answer to my answer to my prayers and my concerns and my problems. I'm not even gonna deal with that full-time employee, or that even the part-time employee. I'm not gonna deal with that, because at some point they're gonna ask me for the health insurance, they're gonna ask for this, they ask for that, or I just don't want to have to deal with paying the taxes and the FICA and the workman's comp and the like. So now I'm moving on, and I'm going to have myself an independent contractor. With that being said, Pamela, what is the state of being, if you will, for the independent contractor?
For an independent contractor, it works really good for an organization. Actually, I use several independent contractors at a big company, and we had 150 employees. So independent contractor can work in small businesses as well as in large businesses. And as Brent said, the benefit of not having having a independent contractor, they will pay you. They will be paid as a 1099 employee. That's for the federal taxes. So guess what? You don't have to pay taxes on them. They, as an employee, will be paying taxes on that money at the end of the year. So it is their responsibility to have that, to have the taking money out or setting money aside for taxes. Another benefit to have an employee, an independent contractor, is you don't have to, again, you don't have to offer any benefits. That person is really just sitting over here working for you. In some sense, the government doesn't even, let me say this though, you still have to get a signed contract for them. You still have to document what they do. You still have to document the job that they do, and you still have to document the hours that they work. That is your responsibility for the federal government. Please, 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 because everyone thinks that, oh, I have an independent contractor. I don't have to do anything. That is wrong. And so the easiest fix is just have them fill out a form, track the hours that they work and the duty that they're doing, and put it in a folder, and you'll be covered.
I appreciate that. One of the questions that comes up or is in my mind relative to the independent contractor, there's federal standard for the independent contractor, because the independent contractor is not an employee. The independent contractor is a standalone. I've been looking at this from the perspective of the state as well as the federal. And I know that in certain states, such as Massachusetts, they take a very strong stand about the control that an employer has over the independent contractor. And Massachusetts in particular has become very, very staunch about that independent contractor. That independent contractor cannot be controlled. That independent contractor works from their home or off-site. You cannot require that independent contractor to spend X amount of hours in your facility. When it comes to something like that, Pamela, I have seen employers, in my opinion, be abusive about that. So from a federal perspective, and when I think of HR, I think more so of making sure you've covered the federal statute guidelines and law. How does an independent contractor work with me when I want them in my facility, or I want them in here once a week or something of that nature? Talk to us about that.
Honestly, the easiest fix, I'm going to go back to document. Now, they can't demand, it's not like I'm an employee for you where I have to come in to your office. Now, for example, I had 3 independent contractors that worked for us. We said, we need you X amount of hours within a week, and we need you to report back to the office 1 day a week, with between the hours of 8 to 5. And I even got a little bit more specific because I was juggling with 150 employees. I needed that independent contractor to be in the office on a Friday. I asked her to actually report in on a Friday between the hours of 8 and 12, because I know that 1, there's always someone there. 2, I was there, and 3, her boss was there. So if she had stated or anybody said, well, she wasn't there, I had the accountability. So it's always about you covering yourself. Just be specific and ask what you're going to, and let's be honest. If I've been an independent contractor. So I'm very flexible to you because I'm providing you a service for you, and I need business and you need business. So you just be upfront and you be honest and you put it in the contract, because there are some exceptions to the rule where there has been some abusive.
Yeah. Absolutely. And in fact, that is what's made Massachusetts in
Yep,
particular very hardcore when it comes to that independent contractor. I mean, they have really snapped down on it. So what I hear you saying is you can still set up time. So let's say I often refer to Kelly McGovern, who is actually has had a mortgage processing firm. She was my actual external when I did outsourcing. She wants to have an independent contractor come on board. Um, in Massachusetts, they're pretty staunch about that. So if she brought that person on, are you saying from a federal perspective, she could actually request or put in the contract that that person be in her shop X amount of hours a week physically in there, and that would still be meet the legal statute for the federal?
that is correct. That's all you have to do. You have to, and that's what actually that's what I make sure the employer that I'm working for always make sure that we do that. Always make sure the number of hours that I'm working, and we get it down to number of hours I'm working in the business as well as the number of hours I'm gonna work outside of the business.
Understood. So what that also sounds like is it based on a proportion of hours?
Yes,
So if okay, got it. Okay, very
yes,
good. So, and oftentimes I've seen when it comes to independent contractors, because they're not paid, because the taxes, they're not offered benefits, they're not offered health insurance, they're paying their own taxes. I found more often than not, taxes, they tend to be paid, rather, the independent contractor tends to be paid higher. In some instances, almost at consultant rates. Do you find that that's factual?
absolutely. I do. And on a business, I'm gonna flip to the business side. On a
Yes.
business side, I totally get why they do it. I worked again with a small corporation that had predominantly independent contractors. Now we did, and now let me say this, we did work 40 hours for them a week, but we were independent contractors. And I totally get why he did it and she did it. Because again, I don't have to offer you any insurance, but yet I still get your service at full-time rate. So you have to think about that. That is a smart move because then I won't have to pay you. Now, you do jeopardize. Now you can't, and the difference though is remember this, employers, that independent contractor, once that contract is up, they can go to somebody else. It's not like here in Ohio, we're at an at-will state. If I was a full-time employee and I was a permanent employee, you can come in at any time to dismiss me from my job. But as an independent contractor, once my time is up, my time's up. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does make sense. I sometimes look at it as the great equalizer.
Yes, it is.
Definitely as the
So
great
true.
equalizer. Now, I'll tell you what, to our wealth warriors, I hope that you are getting some serious nuggets out of this morning's conversation, that you are grabbing hold of this and recognize the fact that there are significant differences. And most importantly, we have, in fact, this is almost a hashtag, check the law in your state. Hashtag check the law
Check the law.
in your state, because you do not want any surprises. And that leads me to the infamous intern. So many people are saying, well, you know what? I'm going to get an intern in my shop, and that is going to be the resolve. I'm going to get the student who is going to do this amount of work. And in fact, I'll tell you what, I got incredibly excited. I met a young lady from Rhode Island who shared with me that she had 6 interns. And I went, wow, that is fantastic. And until I had a conversation with Pamela, and she said, Brent, you better check your state laws reference interns. I actually had a conversation with a colleague who said, I am having my attorney check on the state law regarding interns, because in certain states where you may be able to do an exchange. For example, one of the exchanges is I'm going to have interns work with me. They're going to come in 1 day a week. The work that they do is considered it's homework, an assignment, and what I'm going to do at the end of that period, however long that period is, I am going to give that student a letter from me that says that they have in fact they've done X amount of work, and it has a specific value. So real quickly, she had somebody that did marketing. She had somebody that did sales. She had somebody that handled the social media. She had another person that was what did she handle? That she handled the office, if you will, the coordination, because you cannot call them a secretary. And within her state, this was sufficient. This was legal. She could do this. However, you get into other states who go, oh, no, 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 that's either slave labor or there isn't enough equity in that arrangement. You've actually got an employee here. Or you might, at worst case scenario, have an independent contractor. Pamela, take a moment to speak with us about what's getting to be the rage, and in fact, it is part of the hot topic, and that is the intern.
Absolutely. Now, let me say I can speak here in Ohio, and here in Ohio, we've used interns, and we did do the exchange of service for the exchange of time. Now, again, though, we did have to document, just as though the intern was an employee, we did have to get all that pertinent information that you collect as an employee, as an employer, and you sign contract. But that's all we had to do here and we did use a lot of interns for that purpose. And now I know people are out there, well, wait a minute. Am I better off to get an intern versus an independent contractor, right? Well, here is my take on the both of them. For an intern, you have to remember an intern is just now completing some college education, and they're needing experience to satisfy the degree or a course, okay? So they don't have that out there work experience. And they only have to satisfy that being an intern may be I had an intern that only had to work for us for 20 hours for the whole year, versus if I have the independent contractor over here that I'm going to contract, that I know, one, has the experience, two, has the knowledge, and three, I can keep them more than the 20 hours. You just have to balancing out the two. So those are the two differences between the two of them. Is again that.
I noticed something about in the language. I heard you talk about, even when you talked about the independent contractor, I heard you use the word job and employer. And I heard that with intern. It seems to me the reason why putting something in writing documentation is so critical is because we could use that language interchangeably. And the reality is, unless they are an actual employee, they are neither, and they do not have a job. Am I right about that?
That is correct. That you are providing as an intern, you're providing them the opportunity to provide services for you within the X amount of expectation.
Okay, and essentially the same thing with an independent contractor, except there is a greater tie with the independent contractor. Yes?
Correct.
Okay, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I do believe, however, I'm willing to go out on a limb and say, I know we provided you with content and service this morning. Did we not, Pamela Stone? Did we provide service and content?
Absolutely. You know what? We could be talking for let me speak. I could be speaking on this for days, hours. So absolutely.
And true that. I can tell that you could be speaking on, because truly we thought we would have an equal amount of time for each component. Employment always takes up the majority of the conversation, because there's so many intricacies that are involved when it comes to employment and employees. So this was super content, and Pamela, I thank you so much for that, for this particular segment, because you really provided, you were not only the guest speaker, you were the spotlight. How about that? Oh my goodness. With that being said, we're going to transition real quickly into what's hot or what is trending right now. And then we have some closing announcements for the upcoming event, one happening this month, another one happening in September. And so, Pamela, for you, what did you find was the hot topic or something that we need to be cognizant of for this particular upcoming week?
For this upcoming week, I just need everyone to be aware of your surroundings. Be mindful of what you're doing. Be mindful of the business that you're doing and the people that you're serving. I know we won't get into it, but we've seen all the shootings and the killings and everything like that. Just be mindful of the people that you're surrounding yourself with in the surroundings. And I'll leave it at that.
Okay, all righty. I'm going to go in a totally different direction and hit it from a business perspective, although I clearly appreciate what Pamela is saying about what is trending right now, and it certainly bespeaks us being kind to each other, being tolerant of each other, and being respectful of each other. I want to hit the side of the topic for our business owners, and that is that contingent upon the state that you're living in, that's really going to dictate not only the quality of the employer-employee relationship, it is also going to dictate the business model that you select. For example, I happen to reside in the state of Massachusetts, and one of the things that we know right now is Massachusetts is rich with employment. There are plenty of jobs out there to be had. And so the business model, it indicates that people there is sort of a posture that people have around employment. There is a posture that they have. And so when we look at our business models, it can, in fact, be challenging to find the employee at the price point that you are willing to pay. So the amount of unemployment will certainly dictate the availability of that client base. Now, with that being said, what I want to do is transition into our announcements. And I want to share with you at the end of this month is the Destination Destiny event. Both Pamela and I are going to be there. There is still time for you to be involved in that. It's July 29th through the 31st. It is happening in the big ATL. You have heard me talk about that. And I am wanting to encourage you to be there. If you are looking to make connections, if you are looking to grow in other areas, then ladies and gentlemen, this is a she speaks and a he speaks event. We want everybody in the house for this one. July 29th through the 31st. It's happening in Atlanta. Go up to shespeaksworldwide.com. Press the tab called Ambassador. Look for Brent Harding. I am representing for Massachusetts and all around the world. You are going to be part of my contingent, and I'm inviting you and I am employing you to be there. It is the event of the summer. With that being said, Pamela, you have an announcement, and then we're going to shut this thing down. What's your announcement, Pamela?
I do. Here in Columbus, Ohio, we are having a girls' night out. It is now moved to October the 7th. there is still opportunity for everyone to do some advertising. So we're all opening for advertising. If you would like to find out more information, just contact me. I can be found on Facebook under Pamela Stone, or you can email me at the number one, p&sconsulting@gmail.com. Thank you.
Awesome, awesome, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to go out today and be extraordinary. We'll see you next week. Take care, everyone.
Bye.